Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, September 21st. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. First, it was gas-powered cars. Now California is tackling another major source of pollution. State regulators are poised to ban the sale of natural gas-powered furnaces and water heaters by the year 2030. And as KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson explains, money will soon be available to those who make the switch to greener appliances.
The California Air Resources Board, CARB, is expected to take a monumental step Thursday to shrink the state's carbon footprint and reduce nitrogen oxide pollution. That's a key ingredient to producing smog. The panel is widely expected to ban the sale of gas-powered furnaces and gas-powered hot water heaters. Leah Lewis Prescott is a think tank consultant working to eliminate fossil fuel use in buildings.
This is a binding commitment to doing this, to phasing out fossil fuel appliances and committing the state of California to clean and healthy all-electric homes and businesses.
CARB has already moved to wipe out emissions from cars by banning the sale of new internal combustion engines by 2035. Buildings are next.
Homes and buildings in California generate 4 times more nitrogen oxide pollution than California's gas power plants.
Laura Feinstein is a member of SPUR, a public policy think tank based in the Bay Area. She says the phase-out plan for gas-powered water heaters and furnaces is part of a sweeping statewide effort to decrease California's carbon footprint. She says the actual change will be eased in.
When regulators vote to phase out gas appliances, what that means is that after a certain date, people won't find the gas-powered versions of those appliances in the stores when their old ones break. So it's not that in 2030 you're going to have to go pull out your furnace and put in a new heat pump. It's that the next time your furnace breaks and you have to buy a new one anyway, you'll be switching to a new zero-emission version.
State residents will also be able to tap into federal financial assistance included in the Inflation Reduction Act. That legislation includes rebate money for the installation of water heaters and furnaces that use heat pumps, technology that is more efficient and pollution-free. Lewis Prescott says the heavy lifting is educating consumers before the deadline hits.
So we have a lot of time to continue to educate consumers and engage different stakeholders to make sure that we're moving forward together to address the holistic transition to cleaner buildings.
California's nitrous oxide emissions are down nearly 75% since 2000. They could be cut in half again by 2035. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Grossmont Union High School District is also reducing its carbon footprint with clean and green technology. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer shows us the new transportation center that includes a fully electric bus fleet.
A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held to celebrate Grossmont Union High School District's new Transportation Services Center. The 32,000-square-foot facility includes 9 bus maintenance bays, a drive-through bus wash, and extensive parts storage. Mary Beth Caston is the superintendent of the district.
This relentless commitment to resource conservation across the district saves more than $2 million in annual energy costs.
The $24 million center also features cutting-edge automotive maintenance and safety technology, new tools, training, bus dispatch, and administrative support offices. And all that money that's being saved by using electric buses instead of diesel ones is going back to the students in the district. Sophia Romeo is part of the district's engineering and architecture pathway in the Career and Technical Education program.
So we work with a lot of computer programmed robots, and a lot of those supplies are a lot of money, where a lot lot of times, if we do not get the grant for it, if we do not get the money for it, we don't do it. So I'm really happy to know that next year, the students that are going to be in my pathway get to experience a lot of things that I could not experience because we did not have the funding for.
The Transportation Services Center will start by running 17 electric buses. That's the first phase of the district's plan to replace 67 diesel-fueled buses over the next 20 years. Brooklyn Price is another student in the district's CTE program who says the new center is inspiring her peers to pursue careers in renewable energy.
Right now, we have multiple programs at multiple schools to teach everybody about green energy and all the renewable sources that will help benefit us in the future and stop greenhouse gases.
And one more step towards sustainability: rooftop solar to harness renewable energy for the facility's operations. The district will charge its buses during school hours when there is a strong solar power generation and overnight at super off-peak times for the power grid. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Your gas rebate check may soon be in the mail. The one-time payments, officially known as California's middle-class tax refund, start going out in October. And to be eligible, single tax filers must make less than $250,000 and less than $500,000 for joint filers or heads of household. You could receive as little as $200 or as much as $1,050 based on your income and dependents. If you filed your taxes electronically and got your refund by direct deposit, then you can expect your gas rebate check the same way. San Diego County offered millions of dollars to help cities tackle homelessness. Oceanside is one of 3 cities that got some of that funding, but KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne says county supervisors were disappointed. More cities didn't apply, resulting in leftover funds.
Earlier this year, the county offered $10 million in grants to cities for projects tackling homelessness.
When I introduced this, I thought we'd get $30 or $40 million of requests, and we didn't. We only got requests for half of the funding that we had available.
But County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says only 3 cities applied.
These 3 cities in San Diego County, I want to applaud them, because talking about homelessness and complaining about homelessness is easy. But actually stepping up to find a location, to find a facility, to do the hard, difficult work, to get people off the streets and get them help, that's to be commended.
He awarded $3 million today toward Oceanside's first homeless shelter.
To be here today with Oceanside and to celebrate their willingness to step forward and be a part of the solution is something that we really need to do. And our county will continue to push and to lead and to work and to do more.
Oceanside's 50-bed homeless shelter is still under construction. Oceanside Mayor Esther Sanchez says grant money is what has helped pay for the remodel of the site. That was estimated at $3 million and is now up to $6.7 million.
So this is really helping us to make this dream, really, of our community, make it happen. We are hoping to be up and at 'em by the beginning of next year.
Vista and San Diego are the other 2 cities that got grants.
We're also awarding the city of Vista $65,000 for their safe parking lot program. 25 vehicle safe parking lot that will be open early next year, and the city of San Diego about $1 million for a safe parking program. They'll operate a 60 vehicle safe parking lots.
Fletcher says he is re-inviting cities to step up and apply for the $5 million that is still up for grabs.
There's not a single city in San Diego County that's not struggling with homelessness. There's not one. And we know it's hard and it's difficult, and whatever you do, someone's going to oppose. Invariably, folks are going to oppose this being here. But you've got to get past that. You've got to get focused on how do we find a solution.
The grants are intended to get programs started. Each city is pitching in its own funds to keep the programs going. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Several local cities that oppose an order to boost low-income housing won't get their day in court. The California Supreme Court denied the request from Coronado, Solana Beach, Imperial Beach, and Lemon Grove. The cities say that they shouldn't have to change their zoning laws to facilitate low-income developments. And this is just the latest rejection after similar denials by lower courts. A big donation to the San Diego Housing Commission will help people of color become homeowners in our area. The Wells Fargo Foundation is providing a grant of $7.5 million. It'll pay for credit counseling, down payment assistance, and other services. And this is all part of a larger effort by the San Diego City County Reinvestment Task Force.
Training realtors to make sure that you're finding home buyers of color who are ready, who are able to get into homes, and make sure that they get them there. there are some who need a little extra boost, and they'll be able to get that with that relationship with the San Diego Housing Commission. They're a great partner, and we're excited to work with them.
Wells Fargo says the grant will help it achieve its goal of creating 5,000 new homeowners of color. What won't help home buyers? Rising interest rates. And today, the Federal Reserve raised rates by another 0.75 percentage point to tackle record high inflation. Jen Sullivan has a look at what this means for borrowers.
Aggressive action from the Fed. On Wednesday, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell announcing the 5th consecutive interest rate hike this year.
The FOMC raised its policy interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
And economists aren't surprised and expect more rate increases are ahead of us. The Fed taking drastic action to slam the brakes on the hot economy and historic inflation.
They're obviously very concerned about inflation and raising rates very aggressively to slow the economy's growth rate down to try to quell that inflation.
Higher interest rates means higher borrowing costs for all Americans on their credit cards, cars, student loans, on their homes, where mortgage rates have already topped 6%, and also a hit on retirement savings.
What's happening right now should be a warning bell that get out of debt that you have and don't take on as much debt, because whatever you take on, it's going to cost you more.
Experts say most consumers will feel the pain, and for those living paycheck to paycheck, it could mean making difficult decisions. Personal finance author Michelle Singletary recommends holding off on big purchases until the overheated economy stabilizes.
Is this the right time? Can you wait before you jump into the housing market or to buy that new car? Because it's going to cost you more.
The Fed's move does have a silver lining for some. Economist Mark Zandi says higher rates could benefit savers.
Ultimately, this should be a plus for you because you'll get a higher rate on that.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
A significant escalation in Russia's war against Ukraine. It comes as President Biden addressed the United Nations today. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down Russia's increase in troops and how world leaders are responding.
After setbacks on the battlefield, Russian President Vladimir Putin is responding in a rare national address.
In order to protect our homeland, I think it is necessary to support the decision to partially mobilize citizens of Russian Federation.
The partial mobilization will call up 300,000 citizens in Russia's military reserve. This announcement comes after a successful Ukrainian offensive in the northeastern Kharkiv region. During a speech to the United Nations General Assembly just hours later, President Joe Biden pledged to stand with Ukraine in the face of military escalation.
This war is about extinguishing Ukraine's right to exist as a state. That should make your blood run cold.
The president also calling the Kremlin's move to annex separatist regions in Ukraine a sham in violation of the UN Charter.
Putin claims he had to act because Russia was threatened, but no one threatened Russia.
As more Russian troops are expected to enter the fight, Putin threatened the potential use of nuclear weapons, also raising concerns.
In order to protect our people, in order to protect Russia, we will definitely use all means.
Ivan Rodriguez, KPBS News.
A company here in San Diego is helping a Ukrainian teen walk again after he lost part of his leg in a Russian attack. His story is coming up in just a few minutes. 80 years later, San Diego is now apologizing for its role in Japanese-American internment during World War II. On Tuesday, the council voted to rescind a city resolution that has been on the books since 1942. It called on the local FBI to follow President Roosevelt's lead in removing people of Japanese descent from the area. This week's vote also gives a formal apology to those of Japanese ancestry who were affected. The sheriff in San Antonio is now interested in talking with 8 men who arrived in Sacramento from Texas to find out if their trip is connected to the migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard. Reporter Michelle Bandor shows us how nonprofit organizations are helping the men adjust to their new lives.
The program director of Soccer Street USA heard about the migrants' unplanned arrival in Sacramento and stepped in to help.
We're all about creating a positive, safe space for all people to play.
The The nonprofit NorCal Resist is providing the men with clothes, food, and a place to stay, also getting them to their immigration hearings and asylum clinics. We first reported the men arrived Wednesday and Thursday on 2 separate flights from the same San Antonio shelter where the migrants sent to Martha's Vineyard stayed. The men told me they arrived in Sacramento barefoot and walked downtown to the address written on their documents. It was the administrative offices for Catholic Charities.
These people are vulnerable and they don't know what's going on, and they don't know what's normal. And so I think when someone hands them a plane ticket, they think, well, maybe this is from our government.
Jody Santiago is an immigration lawyer in Davis, calling the situation troubling and unusual, also asking if the Sacramento case is connected to Florida.
This is not the act of a nonprofit. There would be no benefit to a nonprofit sending someone across the country with no resources and no means to be taken care of, and not any arrangements made for them.
Meanwhile, the migrants are getting help now and learning what life is like in Sacramento.
While they're playing on this field, I'm sure they're not thinking about the 20-mile walk they had to take from the airport, or just getting dumped on a plane and sent to somewhere they have no idea. They're not thinking about that right now.
And that was Michelle Bandor reporting. As we mentioned, a sheriff in San Antonio is investigating migrant flights that originated in Texas. Most of those migrants are now part of a class action lawsuit alleging organizers used fraudulent tactics to get them on the planes. From recycled and reusable materials to energy-efficient appliances, there are eco-friendly alternatives for just about everything these days. And now, as Michelle Gillet reports, the same is true when it comes to how you are buried.
When we think of compost, piles of rich soil come to mind, or collecting table scraps in containers to convert to nutrient-rich dirt for the garden. In California, we'll soon have something known as human composting. It's an alternative to burial or cremation, and it's just been signed into law.
It's entirely natural, so the microbes that are in our body will go to work, and they will start to break down our bodies at a molecular level. And so it's with those microbes and then the additional natural amendment, the wood chips and the wildflowers and the mulch, that they all together, it will essentially create compost.
The Washington state company Earth Funeral began using this method of disposing bodies in March, where human composting is legal and environmentally safe.
Relative to cremation, it does not emit CO2, so cremation emits about 540 pounds per process in addition to other pollutants, and it's far less resource intensive than traditional burial, which requires concrete, steel, hardwoods to be buried underground, and then for those lands to be maintained in perpetuity.
After 2 earlier attempts, the human composting bill by Assemblymember Cristina Garcia of Bell Gardens was signed into law by the governor over the weekend. It will become an alternative burial option in the year 2027.
I didn't know that. That's news to me.
What do you think?
I don't think I like that. I think I like the other 2 options.
I don't know what I think about that. I don't know. I don't think I would feel comfortable with that.
That sounds like something I'd like to do then. Oh, yeah. I mean, the environment is probably one of the most important things, like me as a young person can care about today. So, yeah.
Earth Funeral provides families with containers of soil to scatter or plant. The cost for the service is around $5,000.
And that was Michelle Gillet reporting. We also discussed this new legislation on KPBS Midday Edition, and you can find the segment on our website, kpbs.org, or you can listen to the podcast. After years of planning, shovels are now on the ground for a huge development in the middle of San Diego. A collection of VIPs, including San Diego's mayor, took part in the ceremonial groundbreaking at Riverwalk, San Diego. The property sits along what used to be a golf course near Friars Road and close to Fashion Valley Mall. Those involved in the project described some of what's to come.
One of the key things we heard was, first, we would love a grocery store, and we would like that early. So that's part of this phase 1. And another thing that we heard consistently was open space and varying the heights and placement of the buildings.
The first phase will take a couple of years to complete and bring more than 900 homes to the area. More than 4,000 are planned for the overall development, which will include a new trolley station. 10% will be affordable units.
Dry weather's in our future, and so is a warming trend, and it's going to get pretty hot here.
by the weekend, so get ready to hydrate. Looking at our weather next couple of days, Thursday will be beautiful. And then here comes that warming trend. It starts Friday and continues through the weekend into early next week. And the heat peaks around our area either Monday or Tuesday. So overnight tonight, just a few clouds around, our low 64 degrees. Looks like a nice night. Oceanside's 56, El Cajon 60, Borrego Springs 66, and Mount Laguna at 54. Here's our Thursday weather. Pretty dry, pretty comfortable for most of the area. Here's a look at our temperatures. Oceanside 79, El Cajon hits 90, Ramona's 89, Borrego Springs 99, and Mount Laguna at 76. Temperatures continue to rise on Friday. Here it is, the beginning of our warming trend. High pressure from Texas starts to spread westward right across our area. So we're in for some heat. Taking a look at our temperatures of the coast, next couple of days we'll be warming into the 80s, mid-80s expected over the weekend with sunshine. As we take you inland, of course, it'll be hotter. Temperatures climbing into the 90s starting Friday, continuing into the weekend. You can see the heat peaking here on Monday at 95. Taking a look into the mountains, we'll have plenty of sunshine here. Temperatures starting to creep up. And in the deserts, there'll be plenty of sun. And you can see our temperatures back in the triple digits by Friday, and it gets hotter from Sunday into Monday. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the global response to Russia's President Vladimir Putin's major escalation of the war in Ukraine. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
A San Diego company is helping a Ukrainian teenager who lost his leg to a Russian tank. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado was there as the teen took his first steps on a new leg.
Deep breath and relax.
These are 16-year-old Ivan Chaban's first steps on his new prosthetic leg.
And you can walk a little quicker if you like. Excellent. Beautiful.
He's taking them in Mira Mesa with prosthetist Peter Harsh. But Ivan's home is a world away in Sumy, Ukraine, where he lives with his mother, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers. That's where almost 6 months ago, his life changed forever. About a month after the Russian invasion, he, his mother, and stepfather were returning home from the grocery store when the evils of war struck their family.
Коли поверталися, нас догнала колона збройних сил РФ.
As they were returning, he said, a column of enemy Russian vehicles caught up to them, approached them.
Один із танків виїхав з цієї колони та наїхав на нас.
One of the tanks actually veered away from the column and went directly towards them. And as the tank approached, the other 2 were sort of shoved away and injured, and in his case, the tank caught him under the tracks.
Ivan's stepfather died in the attack. His mother survived, but Ivan lost part of his leg. Through it all, he still smiles.
Були такі моменти, коли навіть шкода було, але не дуже. Як потрібно жити далі та відпустити те, що сталося, вже нічого не повернути.
I had a very positive attitude. His whole reaction was, I want to live.
The Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C. partnered with the San Diego-based Right to Walk Foundation to bring Ivan to the U.S. A family friend who came with Ivan says he wants to be fully mobile again to provide for his family.
Life even up to this point was not easy for Ivan. A large family without a father.
Але він до цього ставиться дуже спокійно.
He is not in any way negative or sorry for himself. He is charging forward.
And charging forward he is.
Go, go, go. Yep. Keep going, keep going. Push through. Yep. Go, go, go. Yep, yep. Look up, nice and tall. Yep. There you go. Push, get those muscles going.
Harsh says this journey won't be easy. Yvonne will be here for the next 3 months, where he starts a foundation he can build on. And this place is different. They don't just work on the physical.
Also the emotional stuff. As they're sitting here waiting, thinking about the family back home, what happened to them, is that we pick them back up so they can go again to the next level. Anybody can make Yvonne walk, but can they take them to the next level, the level they need to really go back and do their life? This is what people need to think about, and this is not easy.
But even Harsh is impressed with Yvonne's first day on his prosthetic leg. He'd only been measured for it the day before.
Does he want one more?
Хочеш ще раз?
Так.
Feel good to walk? Ask him.
Хочеш ще? Ходити трошки? Так.
Yeah, he can send it back to his mom and tell her he's walking. Second day.
Yvonne has big dreams.
Стати актором хотів стати.
Go to Hollywood. Yeah. Be an actor. Right.
With your optimism and your courage, I think you can do anything you want to do. Dream big.
Yvonne still needs a local host family to help him through his recovery so he can make his dream a reality.
Slava Ukraini!
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.